This week on the Brody File, the dynamic duo on Capitol Hill, Senator Mike Lee and House Chairman Darrell Issa. They're causing all sorts of problems for the Obama administration.
Clearly, the Attorney General carries water for the president and his policies.
Also, will Jeb Bush run for president? We go into the Brody File video vault searching for answers.
Look, it's if I decide to run for office again, it will be based on what I believe, and it'll be based on my record.
Plus, what's up with this? Jesus is a Muslim on a billboard? And we head to John's Movie Corner for his take on the new movie, Noah. The Brody File, on the air across America right now. And welcome everybody to another edition of the Brody File. Well, this week we have the dynamic duo. It is not Batman and Robin. No, folks, we're talking about powerful Congressman Darrell Issa and Senator Mike Lee. They are up on Capitol Hill fighting the Obama administration tooth and nail. Well, we begin with Darrell Issa. He has his sights set on what he perceives as President Obama's constitutional overreach. He thinks the Attorney General and other administration officials are out of bounds when it comes to playing politics at the IRS and also inside the Attorney General's office. Here's Issa.
Clearly, the Attorney General carries water for the president and his policies. These aren't accidents, whether it's Secretary Sebelius, who obviously couldn't get a website to work and isn't a very good manager, but she supports his policies. And the same thing with the Attorney General, who has used the discretion of prosecutor not prosecuting, dealing or not dealing with cases to move an agenda of the president.
Issa doesn't mess around. He's a thorn in the side of the White House, and he's been cracking the whip on the administration when it comes to their treatment of 501c4 Tea Party groups via the IRS.
Well, I think the president's fear of two things: freedom of expression after the Citizens United case, and the growth of grassroots groups that you couldn't identify with a political party, but rather with a set of principles, as the Tea Party organizations around the country have. And I think that the president really does fear them. You can go after the Koch brothers by name, but Tea Party isn't one party or one group. It's people all around America who simply want to get back to the principles of liberty.
And now on to Mike Lee. He is the fire-breathing Tea Party senator. Look, he doesn't get the headlines like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, but he is just as influential in terms of spreading the Tea Party message up on the Hill. Here is Lee.
We can't expect to win the upcoming election or the election after that by default. We have to earn it, and we have to earn it by developing an agenda. You see, I think the time's right for us to develop a conservative reform agenda, one that focuses on America's growing opportunity deficit, one that shows up in the form of immobility among the poor and insecurity in the middle class and cronyist privilege at the top. These are the kinds of things that can unite the party and expand the party so that we can win elections and so we can improve our government and make it a better place to live.
And the tea-sipping senator from Utah has Ronald Reagan in mind when it comes to that winning ticket.
I believe in what Ronald Reagan said on this point, that we need to be painting with bold colors, no pastels. The distinction needs to be clear, and never have we been presented with a better opportunity to make a clear distinction between what we represent and what the left represents. What we want, the policies that we advocate, will lead to a better America, especially for the poor and middle class who are suffering under this administration's failed progressive policies.
But the key question for Lee and his GOP Tea Party buddies is how do they cut budgets, promote good fiscal conservatism without looking like, well, quite frankly, mean old ogres?
Part of what we have to point out is that current policy is locking a lot of Americans in poverty. It's creating a huge disincentive, not just the kind of disincentive that makes someone not as inclined to want to get a job, but it actually punishes people for getting a job. There are many people in 34 states in the District of Columbia who would actually see their standard of living go down if they abandoned welfare and took an entry-level job. In many instances, you'll see a person in that circumstance facing an effective 90% marginal tax rate when you add up what they pay in taxes and what they would lose in welfare benefits when they take their first job. When you take your first job, then you become eligible for your second job, for promotions. You can start working way up the ladder. But if failed government policies are keeping you in poverty, if they're holding you in those programs because they're disincentivizing, they're making it too risky for you to go and get a job, then you're going to be locked in poverty. And that's not fair. That's not the American way.
Lee believes that part of a better America is a better tax system, something that he's trying to develop up on the Hill.
I've introduced something called the Family Fairness Opportunity Tax Reform Act. And the idea of this is to simplify the tax code, converting our current complicated system into a two-rate system, and adding to that a larger new child tax credit. This is there to offset a couple of penalties that are built into the current tax code. The marriage tax penalty and a lesser-known penalty that I refer to as the parent tax penalty. You see, America's working moms and dads contribute to our senior entitlement programs, Social Security and Medicare, twice, once when they pay their taxes, and again as they're incurring the substantial costs of raising their children. Our current tax system doesn't take into account this extra contribution, and it's unfairly treating America's moms and dads who are essential toward preserving not only our country, but also these senior entitlement programs.
But Mr. Senator, is tax reform a reality right now? Harry Reid and the president may have a thing or two to say about that.
The fact that the odds may be stacked against us now doesn't mean that we shouldn't start now. It doesn't mean we shouldn't start putting these ideas forward. It takes a while for these ideas to percolate. And so I think we need to continue pushing for them now, even if our odds are long in the short term, because we've got to get to the point as soon as possible where we can reform our tax system.
And that is Mike Lee on the Brody File. All right, look, time for some 2016 presidential news. Here's a question for you. Will Jeb Bush run for president? That is the question. Now, sorry. All right, a lot of screaming. I know the country may not be ready for another Bush running for president, but hey, it could happen. George's younger brother's thinking about it, and now there is a draft Jeb Bush movement afoot. There's lots of powerful and rich GOP donors. They're working back channels right now to persuade Bush to run. They think Chris Christie is damaged goods because of the New Jersey bridge scandal, and the neocons are scared to death of Rand Paul's libertarian views on foreign policy. You know, we spoke with Jeb Bush about this a few months ago here on the Brody File, so let's dip into the video vault for that. I am going to be the only person that ever doesn't ask you about 2016. I'm not going to ask you that because everybody does. I am curious, though, about... well, good, you wanted to say something. No, I did have a question, though, about some of the critics who say if someone like Jeb Bush did run, that he would be this mainstream Republican candidate who wouldn't appeal to the base of the party. It's on the internet. It's got to be true. I mean, what do you say? What do you say to those critics that say, "Hey, wait, they're too mainstream"?
Look, it's if I decide to run for office again, it will be based on what I believe, and it'll be based on my record. And that record was one of solving problems completely from a conservative perspective. I cut taxes every year. I shrunk the size of government. We reformed the things that were broken. Our Medicaid program was broken. We reformed it. Our education system was a complete disaster. We created a great business climate that made Florida a place to do business and for families to prosper. I acted on my core beliefs on social issues as governor. You know, I will be able to, I think, manage my way through all the chirpers out there.
Chirp, 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 chirp. We need a sound effect. Chirp, chirp, chirp. If Jeb Bush does get in, by the way, he would be considered the instant front runner for the GOP nomination. And I'm sorry, Tea Party folks, I'm saying that. It's true, all right? When we come back, President Obama's signature domestic policy achievement bears his name. It's Obamacare. The latest on that Obamacare, liberals praise it. Conservatives praise it too, but they praise it at the porcelain altar, if you know what I mean. Back in a moment.
You had a grandpa named Pop, right?
They died when I was your age.
I saw him in heaven.
What if an ordinary boy,
Is this him?
That's Pop.
Your son had a near-death experience.
discovered the answer to life's most extraordinary question?
Do you think my son went to heaven?
He told me everything was all right.
Based on the incredible true story.
We all want to be supportive.
I want to believe him. But everything he talks about is impossible.
Will you believe?
You saw heaven?
It's beautiful.
Heaven is for real. See it this Easter. Rated PG.
Hi, I'm Wayne Allen Root, former presidential candidate, conservative national media personality, best-selling author, and true blue patriot. I call what we're living in today the Great Depression 2. More Americans now receive government entitlements than work full-time. The typical family earns less today than in 1989. I understand exactly what's happening to this economy and how you can protect yourself. So I sat down and taped a 30-minute DVD on the topic with all the critical steps needed to ensure Americans can both survive and thrive in 2014. It's called The Timeless Truth About Money, and it's only available in this special TV offer by calling the number below or by visiting online. Thanks to Swiss America, you'll finally understand the true goal of Obamacare, how our trillions in debt will sink the economy, and most importantly, why your golden years require a whole new golden strategy. Call now.
Start planning your journey to the Holy Land. Come to Jerusalem. Breathe the air Jesus breathed that very night in the Garden of Gethsemane. Walk in his footsteps to Golgotha. Step inside the tomb. See the stone where his body lay. Glory to God, he is risen. Ask your pastor or visit goisrael.com to learn more about making the journey that will transform your faith in God and his word. Experience Israel. You'll never be the same.
They're the original Islamic terrorist group. They spawned Al-Qaeda and Hamas. They're America's next great enemy, and they're in your backyard. If you want to understand the war on terror, you must first understand the Muslim Brotherhood. Pick up my new book, The Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy. Available at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold from coast to coast.
And welcome back to the Brody File, everybody. All right, time to discuss Obamacare, and that means time to tune into the soap opera that we call As Obamacare Turns.
As Obamacare turns.
This week, our soap opera correspondent, none other than Jennifer Wishon, a.k.a. Jenny in the B Block.
You go, girl!
You know, the White House is pointing to the law as a success. Conservatives, of course, are throwing up. So what's the deal? Jenny has more on all of that from the White House. Jenny?
David, 4 years after President Obama signed his controversial Affordable Care Act into law, it's up and running. But many questions about the health of Obamacare remain. As Americans who had procrastinated signing up for Obamacare, or in some cases didn't know there was a deadline, rushed to sign up, substantial lines, more computer glitches on healthcare.gov, and long phone calls dominated the day. But in the end, President Obama got the number of enrollees he wanted. Now the hard part begins, sifting through the names to learn more about who signed up. Are enough healthy young people on the list?
To get them engaged in the healthcare debate in the process, I think you really have to convince them that this is important for their health well-being, but also their financial well-being as well.
Daniel Cox's research shows the millennial generation supports a strong role of government, even government-sponsored health care. But early numbers suggest the number of 18 to 34-year-olds enrolled falls short of the administration's goals. For many young people, paying high premiums for health insurance isn't even close to being a priority.
The people least likely to sign up for healthcare under the ACA are young men who are low income and non-white. And now these folks tend to be Obama's strongest supporters. So when we look for reasons, I think that points less to a political reason and more to an economic reason.
So the financial outlook is very, very bad for people who are enrolled in the exchanges if they do not get a sufficient number of younger people.
Another key performance indicator is how many people close the deal by paying their first month's premiums. And also, how many people now enrolled in Obamacare were previously uninsured. Remember, signing up those people was the whole point. The months ahead will also reveal whether or not the Affordable Care Act is actually affordable, or if high deductibles, bureaucracy, and narrow physicians networks will cause it to fail.
So I don't worry about the politics. What I worry about is the law providing a real benefit to the American people?
Republicans continue to insist there are more holes in the law than a target shot by John Wayne.
It's basically become the legal equivalent of Swiss cheese.
House Republicans have voted to repeal the law dozens of times to no avail. Now, as the midterm elections approach, they're working to come up with a replacement.
For people who are getting insurance through the Affordable Care Act, they're not going to listen to political ads. They're going to look at their own experience.
And any man that doesn't want to cooperate, I'll make him wish he hadn't been born.
Republicans are pushing Obamacare as one of the major reasons why voters should return them to a majority in the Senate this year. But David, I remember a guy named Mitt Romney making a similar argument a few years ago, and obviously he doesn't live here. So now that Obamacare is up and running, we'll see if the argument resonates now.
All right, thanks, Jenny, but he doesn't live here, that's right. All right, coming next, get a load of this billboard. It says, Jesus is a Muslim. Squeeze me? The head-scratching story next.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
And welcome back to the Brody File. You know, some people say there is a first time for everything, and now President Obama and Pope Francis have finally met for the first time in Rome. To mark the special occasion, President Obama gave the Pope a box of seeds. That's right, a box of carrot seeds as a gift. I'm sure there's a reason for that. Anyhow, some say it sort of symbolizes a new beginning after years of strained relations between Catholics and the administration. One of the reasons for the strained relationship, of course, includes the president's health care plan, which forces employers to provide contraception, something, ding, 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 the Vatican does not support. Two issues the leaders can work together on include poverty and, of course, all those social justice issues. All right, now to a story about Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. Look, we've interviewed him here before on the Brody File. Well, now he's making news for standing up for Christian beliefs, for his Christian beliefs. Walker posted this scripture, Philippians 4:13 on Twitter and Facebook. It says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now, as you can see, he got quite a few likes on it. Well, apparently an atheist group doesn't like it, and they've asked Walker to remove the scripture. I mean, really? A spokesman for Walker says the governor has no plans to bow to the atheist demands. All right, now to a story about a series of billboards in Ohio that is sparking quite a bit of controversy. Take a look at this. That billboard reads, Jesus is a Muslim. Here's another one. It says, Muslims love Jesus too. A Muslim group based out of Columbus put the billboards up to educate people about Islam. In fact, they claim Muslims are really Christians too. Huh? If you're a Muslim, why? Whatever. But many Christians in the area find the billboards offensive, and they plan to take to the streets to proclaim Jesus as Lord and not a Muslim. All right, when we come back, the controversial new movie Noah. Should Christians go see it?
It cannot be averted. Man corrupted this world and filled it with violence. So we must be destroyed.
A great flood is coming. We build a vessel to hold the innocent.
Mama! What's them?
Our movie critic, John Jessup, in the house with his review next.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance. and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
And welcome back to the Brody File, everybody. All right, look, when you think of Noah and the ark, what comes to mind? Well, how about Noah's love for God, Noah's obedience to God, but how about a lot of water? Tons of animals too. But along comes Hollywood, and now we have Noah the movie starring Russell Crowe as Noah. Oi gewollt. Here's a clip.
Protect your mother. Protect them all.
Well, look, the Brody File, not thinking that's how it went down thousands of years ago, but let's bring in our Brody File movie critic, John Jessup, as we enter John's Movie Corner. And John joins us now. John, you've seen this movie. You had the popcorn or Skittles. I don't know what is your refreshment of choice, by the way?
Popcorn. I had popcorn. Okay. And chicken tenders. I didn't have that.
Thank you for adding that.
You asked.
I did ask, actually. Look, the movie, just give me the review. What do you make of it?
You know, I think this movie had a lot of potential. You had the epic biblical story of Noah and the Great Flood. You had an Oscar-winning cast with Russell Crowe, Jennifer Connelly, and Sir Anthony Hopkins. And you had the money, the backing, the resources of a major Hollywood production company. Clearly, there was a lot of buzz about this movie, the controversy that came out even before the movie hit the theaters. It took in, what, $44 million opening weekend. Having said all that, I'm going to borrow someone else's phrase here. I really feel like this movie missed the boat in so many different ways. Nice. Historically and theologically, I know that the producer and director said that they used creative license to bring it to the silver screen, but by the end of the film, what you're watching looks so unrecognizable as the story of Noah.
Well, not that you're going to play theologian in chief here, but for a lot of Christians that are kind of trying to figure out this movie, I mean, it's one thing to take creative license, but they seem to have gone a bit over the top here. What is this rock monster? What rock monster? What is going on here? With all this?
You know, in the movie they talk about fallen angels, which we do know exist in the Bible, but they take the science fiction approach. And you know, I was able to look past a lot of different things. I was able to look past the science fiction elements. I was even able to look past the use of some characters who were like shaman or magicians. What was harder to look past was the theological transgressions. For example, in the Genesis account, we know that God saw wickedness in the world, but Genesis chapter 6 verse 8 says he found favor with Noah because Noah is a righteous man and he walked closely with God. So God was going to start afresh. In the movie, though, by the end of the film, you get the sense that Noah is this crazed madman who believes it's God's intent to wipe out all of humanity, including Noah, his wife, and his kids. Now, say you go along with that premise. I don't think that's biblical, but say you go along with that premise. He ends up not killing his wife, his family, and his kids, which is a good thing, but based on an argument that his wife makes, saying, isn't having goodness and love in your heart all that really matters?
New Age.
So I think for most Christians, you'd have problems with that. But if you go along with that premise, what it's suggesting is that Noah was openly defiant to God's will. I would admit that Noah was probably bearing a heavy burden, which made him appear to be crazed or overzealous, but disobedient, I don't think so. I think a man who commits 100 or so years of his life to building an ark is a perfect picture of obedience.
Right, and yet you said here we have Noah's like a madman by the end of the movie. John, thank you, I appreciate it. Look, before you get out of here, we want to show you, because we believe that Russell Crowe, Veronica, do we have this picture? Because Russell Crowe as Noah is one thing, but you, John Jessup, tell me that wouldn't have been a better picture based on the fact that from a biblical standpoint, I mean, you're the guy, you would have played Noah. This movie would have been much better with you in the lead role.
You know, I appreciate that. I'm not sure it would have made $44 million opening weekend, though. Probably maybe $44.
John,
if that.
Thanks so much.
Hey, David, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. All right, John's Movie Corner. Never know when he'll be back next. You will be back, though, right?
I hope so. Yeah, if you bring me back.
Watch the trap door. All right, back in a moment with our Oy Vey moment of the week.
Do you have an idea for an invention or a new product? Brian and Alice Jagosh, the inventors of the halftime drill driver, did. They invented a power drill attachment that lets you drill, flip, and drive in seconds. Brian and Alice licensed their invention to the company that brought you the Snuggie, and it's now selling in major retailers nationwide. Look for the Invent Help Caveman on the package. If you have an invention that you would like to try to patent and submit to companies for possible review and want free information on how Invent Help may be able to assist you, call now. Invent Help is America's largest inventor service company with sales offices in more than 60 cities nationwide. Call Invent Help today for free information. Our clients made a financial gain with their invention, but this is just their individual result. Brian and Alice's experience is not typical, as only a very small number of inventions are licensed or sold in stores.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-559-8567. That's 1-800-559-8567.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
All right, welcome back. Look, nothing says April like the NCAA championships and also the start of the political campaign season. Well, look, the two worlds collide in this edition of the Oy Vey Moment of the Week. All right, it's a case of mistaken identity. All the major players are here. We've got politicians, expensive ad campaigns, and yes, the Duke Blue Devils. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell began his campaign for re-election with this stirring ad in celebration of all things America and the great Commonwealth of Kentucky. Take a look.
And if we win the majority in November, I will work every day to change it. This is our time to get it right. This is the moment. Let's go out there and do it.
All right, beautiful ad, right? Nothing says Kentucky like hard work, beautiful scenery, and the Duke Blue Devils. I mean, huh? Can we take a look at that again? Look at this. The creators of the ad mistakenly added footage of Duke's 2010 win instead of the Kentucky Wildcats. But I mean, look, who can blame them? I mean, the blue of Kentucky Wildcats, credibly similar to the blue of the Blue Devils. You know, blue is blue. Even still, his opponent, Matt Bevin, wasted no time pointing out the flub.
March Madness in Kentucky. Commitment, courage, you gotta love it. Even if your team is already out of the tournament.
I mean, can we cut him some slack? I mean, anyone can mix up a team or two, right? I mean, well, that's exactly what happened in my bracket this year. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. That's it for this week. Have a great week, everybody. God bless. We'll see you next time.